all you recovering emo kids. Amanda and Rob here with another episode of Emo Kids Anonymous podcast. And we have a great episode, you guys. In a little bit, you're going to hear from our special guest, Scarlett, aka Scardy B, of the Sugar We're Going In podcast, which is a
Very
huge
special
deal for
guest.
me.
Yes,
Very
very
special.
special guest.
Yes, she is. For those of you who are not familiar with the Fall Out Boy fandom, or are not on the Fall Out Boy Twitter as much as I am, she is like our. She is one of our queens. She is our pope of the Fall Out Boy fandom. She is a phenomenal human being, and we're going to talk about Fall Out Boy in this episode. And I cannot wait. But before we dive in with Scardy, Rob and I are going to quickly talk about the news on the scene because some really interesting stuff has happened.
Got some good
Um,
stories and some bad stories
yeah.
this week.
Exactly. So let's start off with I don't know if it's a good story, but it's interesting. I don't know how they got away with it, but I think it was it last night or the night before? A
Last night in
fan.
Manchester, yeah.
Yes.
So
A
this would be,
fan.
yeah, 3 nights ago for people when they're listening because they're going to listen the
Oh,
day
that's
it
true.
comes out. Yeah. But still,
Thank you, Rob.
Sunday night, yeah,
Sunday
Sunday night,
night.
someone stole a drum?
A bass drum, yes, from 21 Pilots show in Manchester, which is wild. It's been recovered. The fans banded together. They were able to track it down and get in touch with the the touring manager for 21 Pilots. They can
Never count
recover the
out the
drum.
youth group kids. Yeah, never count out the youth
I'm
group
telling
kids.
you,
Yeah.
right?
Wow,
But
Lord.
essentially, I haven't been to a recent 21 Pilot show, but I guess during the song "Trees," they're like on the floor in the middle, like in
Which
the middle of the pit playing.
By
I
the way,
think.
not to say that stealing is okay. Not stealing drums is not okay, but
No.
additional drums on the floor is stomp clap adjacent, so I do see that as bad behavior and a red flag. Not to victim blame here or anything like that, because I'm not to say it's their fault, but like,
Yes, of
is
course.
once I heard that, yeah, I did get a little weary. But I have seen the photos of the girl walking away with the whole ass fucking bass drum.
I need to understand at what point had like who did, no security guard stopped her. They thought
I
that
saw a
was
video of
okay.
her getting, she got stopped for like a second. She just played it off. I mean, because like, I don't know. What is security
Wow,
know? They're hired for that night. They're briefed really
that's
quickly. It's
true.
like, oh no, like it's my like she
Yeah,
probably
that's
just
true.
told him like no, like, oh hey mate, like it's my job to take this. You know what I mean? She went full mad lad as a lass and was like, yeah, like
That was
that's
a very good
that.
accent.
Yeah, yeah, it was terrible. But like that, yeah, that like I don't like the security guards don't give a shit. Like they're paid,
No,
hourly to be there. Like I feel like they gave a good enough explanation. The security guard's like, okay,
I mean
but
if she said that they like gave it to her, how does the security guard know any better than that?
right, yeah,
Right?
he's probably just like, okay, well, I asked. Like the security guard. You're covering. Like your job is to cover
Yeah.
your ass. Basically, is like make sure you
Yep.
don't get fired.
CYA.
Any hourly job,
Yeah.
like it's just like let me cover myself.
So since we are going to be talking to Scardy B soon on the show, in the Fall Out Boy Twitter, there are a lot of fun jokes being had. Someone's like, "If you see me walking away with Franklin the sheep, no, you
Yeah,
didn't." Like at the next Fall Out Boy show, someone said, "If you see me walk away with Patrick Stump, no, you didn't." And I was like, "No, I'll walk away with Patrick Stump." Someone you
yeah,
tweeted that.
yeah. If you see me walk away with that
Jokes for
8 ball, just know I found a dealer at the fucking Fallout Boy show.
yeah, exactly. If only.
Uh,
But that happened with the Twinkle Pilot show. That's wild. I mean, I know it talks a lot about fan etiquette, crowd etiquette, which is a constant topic. One that we should probably do a show on at some point.
Panoramica,
Just
yeah,
the
could probably be
current.
its own
Yeah,
warranted episode, yeah, especially as
it
things
really would.
devolve with the youth and their goddamn phones and the playing Shrek videos during shows and just whatever they're doing.
Whatever they're doing. Yeah, the fan group for Pierce the Veil actually put out because Pierce the Veil's tour is starting this week, I think. Yeah, I think this week
Good
they're
for
starting.
them.
Yeah, they're
Yep,
starting this
yep,
week.
good for
Yeah,
them. I'll be at the
finally.
LA show. Yep, yep.
Woo! I'll be the Nashville one. Not that we need to dox
Yeah,
ourselves, but in case you
yeah,
see
yeah.
us,
I'll
say
dox
hi.
myself. Y'all can show up. Yeah, as we've noticed this week, fellas are afraid of fellas, and yeah. So don't
They
worry about
are,
where
yeah.
Amanda is. If you want to see one of us, you can come find me, pal.
Yeah, you gotta look at the camera just like that too.
Yeah,
Come find me
come
in the
find me.
most menacing way
Yeah, the most
possible.
menacing way you can get from little old me. Like, come at me, bro. Literally, yes.
Exactly. But they posted etiquette, like they posted reminders of what you should do at the concert. I said, "Are we really at that stage? Is that what we need
We
now?"
are,
Like
yes.
4 slides worth of do's and don'ts of being at a concert. I guess we do.
Unfortunately, we are. Yeah, unfortunately, we're there.
Yeah. So next week's episode, little quick preview. We're gonna have an episode with our buddy Chris Broken Radio
Great buddy
vibes.
Chris. Great buddy Chris. Great buddy Chris.
Yes. We're going to be talking about TRL and its influence in our scene as well as just pop culture in general. And he has a really fun TRL story he's going to share with us when he's on. But in addition to that episode, we are going to do a special episode. Normally, we don't do a lot of bonus episodes, but given the recent events that have taken place over the last week now, it's probably been almost a week now by the time this episode comes out, we are going to do an episode just around the scene and what a male and female experience is. For those who follow both Rob and I, you probably have seen videos we have made, our fellow content creators have made around a certain content creator we were all involved with for a period of time.
Touchy subject.
Probably,
It's literally a
yes.
touchy subject to me where it's like it makes me like
Yeah.
emotional because it's like I feel like I indirectly put you guys in a bad spot. I mean, not on purpose, obviously, but you know what I
No,
mean?
no.
It's like it's
Yeah.
just and if you guys are watching the show, you're aware there's someone who is familiar with us who we both collaborated with and worked with on the internet named
Mm-hmm.
Tony. We'll just do names. And
Yeah. Why
there was a
not?
lot of terrible behavior across the board from him towards the women of our scene and treating the men in our scene differently. And I think our scene in general has responded to it in a very great way. So
Yeah.
we will be doing a full dive next week in general on different experiences we've had in the scene and ways we can make it better.
So that is what we're going to dive into in our bonus episode next week. More to come on that. But right now, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in. Let's talk about Fall Out Boy, a much happier subject for me anyway. and,
Take it
and
away.
let's talk with Scardy. Hello, all you recovering emo kids. Amanda and Rob here with Emo Kids Anonymous podcast, and we are really excited, and I am very honored to have Scarlett, aka Scardy B, on our podcast today.
Those are
The
my
fact
mouth
that I
air
can hear
horns for you.
And no, thank you. Scarlett, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. It is 9 o'clock here in sweet Philly. It was pretty sunny today. We had a good day.
Yeah, it was. Well, no, it rained here in Kentucky, so it
Oh,
was
sorry to
not a
hear that,
beautiful
y'all.
day. It is okay. It was
Oh,
nicer
yes.
yesterday. It was nice on Mother's Day. That's all that mattered for me. So that
Aw,
was
happy
good.
belated Mother's Day, Amanda.
Oh,
You're
thank
super
you.
rad.
Yes,
Oh my
happy Mother's
God.
Day.
Thank you. All right, so Scardy, go ahead and tell our listeners, for those who are not familiar with you, a little bit about yourself and kind of give them an idea of why you're even on our show today.
Oh my God. I mean, that's very existential. No, I'm kidding. I am Scarlett, aka Scardy B. I have worked in the music industry since I was 15. Started doing radio right around then, and I would be the one who was like scamming your favorite bands to like come and get interviewed at, like my
Sick.
small high school station. So I grew up interviewing, bands like Hanson, Forever the Sickest Kids, Asking Alexandria, and then it evolved into me going to school for music business, entrepreneurship, and technology. And I still work in music today, and a lot of it was inspired by Fall Out Boys from Under the Cork Tree. Like I remember 2005, that means I was in like fifth, sixth grade. I looked at my mom and I was like, I don't know what's going on here, but I'm gonna make something like this. Like I'm going to work on an album. I don't know how, and I don't know what it is, but this is what I'm gonna do. And that's basically been my through line to my career today. I'm a recording chapter member, which means here in Philly, I'm part of the Grammy chapter, which is
Wow.
amazing,
RAA.
crazy, very wild. But all the way through to what storytelling means to me. And a big story that I love to tell is just like the connection between different music genres. I'm Dominican American, so I grew up on like Get Busy meant like my iPod was either bringing up Fall Out Boy or Sean Paul. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
Donna Paul.
Shauna Paul. So
The
it's
first Sean
like
Paul mention on the podcast. I'm
baby,
stoked.
it had to be me.
Yes.
But I lived in like that Venn diagram. We were talking about that Venn diagram, and I lived in that middle part of like, growing up Dominican, like listening to big bands and that pipeline to ska, and then listening to bands and Fall Out Boy, but also being really into hip hop and R&B, and just really seeing not but feeling different until I found the ways that they connected, and it was really through my favorite band, Fall Out Boy. So I am the host of Sugar We're Going In, which is a podcast about the history of Fall Out Boy and hip hop. And as silly as it sounds, there's a lot of connections, and I go chronologically year by year explaining the biggest collaborations, interest pieces. We talk a lot about like the celebration of Black art and Black inspirations. So it's not just about like, just about hip hop, but more about like Black art and celebrating it and celebrating like people of color in the scene in general. So I go chronologically. I started back in July 2023. We started with 2004, and now we are up to 2011, which is my favorite time. We're talking all about Patrick Stump's like solo stuff. And,
Oh wow.
yeah, so that's where we are now. And then I say we because I contain multitudes, lol. And then we're gonna go. We understand. And then I'm gonna go year by year until I reach modern day, and then that'll be the podcast. So that's me, Scardy B. What up?
Yes, tell everyone what you are going to be hopefully posting soon, that we are all super excited to hear that you.
Oh my God. So I spoke about starting radio when I was super young, and back when Patrick was a solo artist back in like 2011, he was really active on Twitter, and so was I. And obviously we talked about delusion and confidence before this show started, and I was the most delusional and confident of it all. And I started just like a communication with him, and it got to the point where we were, he was giving me a lot of advice. Like, he didn't get to go to college. He did radio in high school, and I didn't want to go to college, and he was like, you have to. But basically, through that, I was able to get an hour-long interview with Patrick Stump. Oh
my God.
And that just absolutely blew up my career in a way that, like, I was just no longer scared to ask for something. Like, I am a constant shooting. Like, I just had Fall Out Boy as one of my prize partners for one of my little stupid fucking bingos. So it's like, there's just no ceiling. And like, for a woman like me, Dominican American, like a woman of color, a queer woman of color, like, it was just groundbreaking to feel seen like that. He was nice to me in a time that I wasn't even nice to myself, so like that confidence that built in me created this absolute monster that you see today. But yeah, so when you listen to the podcast in the next coming weeks, you'll hear a 2-part interview with Patrick Stump, and it's going to be me and my white scent, because I was in the suburbs, so I sound like I'm from the valley. It's really bad. And plus when you're nervous and you just sound fucking crazy, so you're going to hear me bomb with my favorite artist for 60 minutes. I'm thinking about doing a thing where it's like I pause it every few minutes and like give context and like,
oh, you should.
So this interview,
I would love that.
I was just saying, so that you're releasing the interview from 2011.
Yes,
Okay, sick.
Which is really crazy, because even during the interview, he just gives so many gems about his work and production. And at one point, I swear to God, I had it. So I recorded the interview, and then I was beside myself, and I didn't listen to it for like 10 or 11 years. I didn't want to listen to myself. Like, it was like the worst thing ever. And I re-listened to it with my best friend in the car, and he goes at one point, he was like, man, I recorded like Tupac. I'm like, what? Like, I have the craziest quotes. It was like I was prepping back in 2011 for my podcast about hip hop and Fall Out Boy back now. So you're going to hear so many cool stories. It was to the point where it's like we had seen each other so much during that tour that it was like two friends, sitting down, and I'm very thankful for that time that he was able to give, and that people are going to listen to it. This went on radio in Piscataway, New Jersey, 90.3 FM on a random Tuesday at like 3:00. Like, this is a time for it to go to a community that's been following and supporting me for so long, and to show you that, like, nobody starts perfect. Like, I got this huge break, and if I had waited for the right time, I'm using big quotations right now, for the right time, or for me to be here in my career or there, like, there's no such fucking thing. Like, shooters fucking shoot, and that's basically why I'm putting it out, to be like, nobody's fucking perfect. You're gonna hear me bomb for 60 minutes, and it's gonna be the best thing you'll ever hear.
I love that. No, I am so excited to hear it. And I think you should do commentary because I think it will add a lot of context and
It's just me every 5
color
minutes.
to the whole
Oh,
thing. Yeah, pretty much. You're like, can you believe he said that?
why the fuck did I say that?
I think that's tight too because like like I said, like I got like a lot of the Fall Out Boy Twitter stuff, and I would assume all the Fall Out Boy fans are like 27 and onward. But there's a lot of them that are like young, like
No.
people that are only like post hiatus Fall Out Boy, people that are the last 5 years Fall Out Boy, like teenagers, and
Yes,
like
people that are like me and From Under the Cork Tree are the same age, and it's like,
yes.
whoa.
Right? And it's like
Sweet.
there's gonna be some little Dominican girl that's listening to this who also thinks the same thing, and she's like, "Fuck, I can do
Hell
that.
yeah.
Cool."
Hell
Like,
yeah. Her name is like Jasenia or something. I love you,
yeah,
Jasenia. I know you're
yeah, you're
listening
gonna
right
make
now.
We know
you're
you're
changing
here
Jasenia's life right now. Like,
right now.
I love it.
That's amazing. Yeah, Scardy is I think we call her the Pope of Fall Out Boy Twitter.
Y'all. I'm the
I'll take
Popa,
that.
apparently.
The
Well,
Popa, she
it's
is.
somebody on Twitter, and I want to give them credit when I find it, so we'll put it in the show notes. But call me Scardinal B.
there we go.
Wait, was it Trick Skittle? Is that the part?
No, Trick made an amazing photo
That's
of
right.
me as the Pope in a lowrider as my Pope mobile. I need to find who put Scardinal B. So please keep talking while I.
No, you're fine. You're fine. So as she's looking for who on Fall Out Boy Twitter called her Cardinal B, we're gonna talk. We're just gonna give you a quick of what we're gonna talk about today.
Oh, it was
Mixed
Lauren.
houses.
Lauren Effect Kid at Soul Punk
Oh,
Stan.
Aw.
Scardinal Kid.
Yes. Shout out to
Scardinal B.
Lauren.
There we go.
Cardinal B.
I swear I've seen that name pop up on my thing because of yours too. I swear, like these names sound familiar. I'm like,
Lauren
oh,
Effect Kid. Oh yeah, you probably have. Yeah, because
Yeah.
her and
Yeah.
I've been. Yeah, you probably have.
okay. I was gonna say like some of these names that kind of sound like I don't know these people, but I've seen.
They're
like,
oofs. Or
I,
noobs.
yeah. Noomps. What's a noomp? I don't know these.
Like not somebody I follow. Like
Oh, it's like the
it's an
opposite
oof.
of an oomph.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's an
We're
oomph
all
of an
learning
oomph.
everything.
Yeah, this is good. I need to take this in. Yeah.
Write that down. Write that down. Write that down.
Yeah, this is
Right
really
now, right
big
now.
for me as a middle-aged white man. I'm really getting like a lot of new material that I'm gonna show my kids later.
Noof material. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. His two kids are going to learn so much. Yes.
Yes.
It was funny when we first started this podcast. His introduction was basically, "I'm doing what you'd expect all middle-aged white cisgender
Yeah. Get in
men
front of
Yeah.
the mic and
Start a
speak.
Dude, that's why like when
Absolutely.
we started it, like we had some drama recently about like, but it was like when like I was like, oh, I'll do a show, I guess, because we thought TikTok was gonna go away. And as soon as Amanda responded to me, before I knew like I knew her, but I didn't know like how well it would go. But I was very much like, yes, I can't be the only like no one wants to hear two white guys yapping anymore. Like, and that feels socially irresponsible of me to be doing. Like
Congratulations on having a conscience.
yeah, right. Just like
Thank
yeah,
you.
but like
From
just on a
society.
selfish level, even I'm like, who wants to listen to that shit? Like, no one wants to listen to two dudes.
But the
like,
thing is that if you're a podcaster, you kind of have a god complex where it's like I hate to listen to myself, but I love to listen. But I love to listen to myself. You know what I'm saying? So it's
oh, I've never ever listened back to one of our episodes. I'll watch the clips and I'll go through and I'll listen to certain part. But like, I can't get through the whole thing because I'm like,
Oh, me
I
either.
don't need to hear myself.
yeah, me either. Never.
Yes.
You're like, never, ever.
Girl,
No.
I sound good. I be using when I first started my podcast, I worked at a recording studio. And I used a fucking $1,000 mic, like a Newman, like a
Ooh.
Neumann fucking thing. So
Holy
none of my
crap.
episodes will ever sound as good as the first. So I
Gotta do a
listen
little-
back like, damn, it sounded
Little
crispy.
crowdfunding, get you a new Neumann. Yeah.
Dude, I'm selling feet. I'm selling knuckles. Like whatever
shit.
it takes.
Knuckles,
Whatever it
knuckles.
takes.
Fuck. I've been
That
trying to
is
get in the
a
feet
lot.
pick game, but yeah, I haven't got
It's
much
saturated.
traction.
It's saturated.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah,
late.
yeah. I'm
We
not
need to
the
start
demo.
making like the inside of elbow sexy.
I was
Like
saying,
if we
is
can
that
like
sexy?
gain capital on that like anti-weenus area, I think
Yeah.
we'd be onto something.
Venus. Yeah, there
Honestly,
you go.
Don't
yeah.
take my idea.
Soft
Trademark.
Yeah. No,
For anyone else
already,
watching.
I'm snapping pics. Yeah.
Poor man's trademark.
I said it online, therefore it's mine.
Therefore, it's mine.
The same thing. They used to tell us at music school, like if you write down your lyrics and write down the song and you mail it to yourself in an envelope, it's addressed like that's postage
the
on
poor
it. Like
man's
that was like
trademark.
the poor man's trademark. The internet is the same version today. If you have a fucking timestamp on a tweet, that's your idea. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
banger.
Yeah, it's fair.
I said that's fair game. I agree. All right, so let's get into the topic we're trying to talk about. So, what we're going to talk about today on this podcast is Fall Out Boy. Obviously, that is why we brought Scardy on.
Yeah.
Because I can never not talk enough about Fall Out Boy.
I was just say, we haven't covered Fall Out Boy yet. This is good.
Yeah, right. And so I listened to a lot of interviews of Fall Out Boys. A lot of interviews, and one in particular from Zane Lowe, his Apple interview from 2023 when So Much Stardust came out.
Oh my god,
and
that was like a big one. Like
that was a big
not
one.
a big one because Zane Lowe is big because he's huge and amazing
Yeah.
and talented, but like of the candid conversation that it was. We got some bangers from that one. So continue.
Yes. No, you're right. No, I will always, forever and always. The one clip where he's like, "We weren't friends."
We weren't friends.
He's like, "No, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we didn't talk that much." He's like, "I think we do need that Metallica therapy."
There are cool. Everybody's like, friends again, and really whatever. But now we have to figure out creatively how you incorporate.
We were friends for a little bit.
We were. I don't know. I thought we were cool, and then you.
Jesus.
We
might need that Metallica therapist.
No. But I feel like the. Look, we didn't talk very much during that break. It wasn't not friends, but like.
I was just kidding, Patrick.
No, but the people want to know. But
my life.
Heard every person who survived the hiatus scream and clench their butt cheeks at the same time. Notice how we knew exactly out of the hour-long interview, we knew exactly the moment that everybody just went. Like we heard. Oh my god.
I know. But essentially, that was like the conversation, and Patrick wasn't backpedaling, and then he's like, "I was just kidding, Patrick. I was just kidding." And Patrick's like, "No, the people want to know." And then they cut, and you can see there was a significant cut. Like they were like, and also Pete's like, "My life blew up," and I was like, "There was something said that you guys cut. Like something happened right there. We don't know."
Oh my god.
It rhymes with allegedly frubfuse. No, I'm kidding. Maybe a little. There was a lot. There was a lot.
Yeah.
You think they were they?
Well, Joe Troman really candidly in his memoir, None of This Rocks, actually talks about, his struggles with addiction, like at Fall Out Boy's height. He was dealing with some really bad back issues from like surgeries and accidents he had. Like he flew off the roof of a van at Warped Tour, like some just stupid bullshit and fucked his back. And Pete kind of going through the same thing. He's been pretty open about I think opioid usage and abuse.
The only stuff that is real is anything that they've openly discussed, like what Joe has talked about in his book. Every time I look at an old video of him, doing his around the world, his guitar,
his twirly thing, you just think like you're back.
Mania, man.
Well, isn't it?
But we are going to talk a little bit about, are they the emo blueprint? Because this is what Zane Lowe called them in this interview.
Are you ready for this?
Oof. Uh-oh.
You're the emo blueprint.
That's funny.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about that today. Are they the emo blueprint, or are they just a unicorn in the scene? And so I think where we need to really start off, I know we kind of briefly talked about it, just the beginnings of Fall Out Boy. So Scardy, take us through, the early days of Fall Out Boy and what that looked like, especially like for fans as they formed and started really diving into the scene, playing their music at the VFWs and the basements and everything like that.
Absolutely. And for anybody who wants to dive deeper in this, a lot of this information I knew obviously, but a lot of this information recently has come and been detailed by the FABAT, so the Fall Out Boy archive team. They do incredible work. They're finding like MP3 links that are like non-existent unless you're on the Wayback Machine. Like they're incredible, doing incredible work. But a lot of their storytelling is like before Fall Out Boy, here's all the bands that they used to be in. Here's the scene that they were servicing and learning from. They found a tape from one of Patrick's first bands, and he was rapping on one of the songs. Like the actual song doesn't exist, but the what they were into and their influences were there. And there were so many crossover like areas of them going to same shows together, maybe not knowing each other at the time. But between all that and the growing underground scene of like Chicago and like the Midwest, there was also this huge heightened sense in 2003, 4, 5 of hip hop in America and popular and like pop culture. So what I loved about the start of Fall Out Boy is that, yeah, we had Fall Out Boy, but Fall Out Boy was kind of led by Pete and Clandestine and Decay Dance. And Decay Dance was really his like Young Money Records. That was his like the Neptunes. Like it was a
Great
clothing
comparison.
label. It was a collection. It was a collective. He wanted to sign people the same way that Wayne was signing people, which was funny because of Pete, Tyga got signed to Lil Wayne back in like 2008.
I remember when Tyga was just Travis McCoy's cousin.
But he's
Right?
not.
Was that
Breaking
bullshit?
news, he's not Travis' cousin.
I
No.
believed that for 15 plus years.
Rob's mind is blown.
But you believed Big Tyga.
I've been living off misinformation.
Big
Yeah.
Tyga is lying to. Yeah, so that was a huge thing. It
Tyga.
was like, they were like, "Oh, look at these two black guys. They must be related."
Must be related, yeah. It's just like loosely related
Yeah,
in this
of course.
scene. Like, they're cousins.
But,
So just,
but on top of all that, like nobody blames you because like that's kind of what a collective wants you to believe is that it is so much deeper and interconnected. And I think of Gym Class Heroes as like a seminal emo band. Like they are hip hop and R&B driven, but like in the same thing, it's like then the roots are emo,
Yes.
and like so much of rock is just inspired by like black art and like black lyricism. That I think that back in like 2004 and 5, where that was really at the forefront of pop culture through like really like heavy hip hop, that it's like the way it trickles and manifests into like other bands,
Yeah.
like that was really the start of Fall Out Boy, was like their understanding of that, their fanaticism of that, and them not being scared to make that a part of their ethos and their like musical ecosystem.
I think, like you said, like inspired by black art and culture. Like, just let's set the record straight. Rock and roll and rock music in general was created by black people.
Period.
There's
Yeah.
no.
That's it. Fact.
Every popular genre of music in America was created by black people.
Yep.
Literally down to goddamn country music, blues,
yeah.
jazz, whatever you want to
100%.
say, rock music. And like in the early 2000s, like all of us kids, like I'm like, like I'm like 5 years older than you, and it's like when we were kids, it was, you liked hip hop. Like I joke, like up until I was like 11 years old and got like 12 years old, got into punk rock. Like I 100% thought I was black from like 8 to 11, because it's like I listened to
Yeah,
urban
and then
music.
shit
It was
like
like
Punko's Crunk, like we were really in the
Yeah.
trenches. Like we were
They were
truly in the
deep.
trenches.
They were intertwined, but they were almost kept separate. Like I like this and I also like this, but they weren't really crossed. And I think they only have like
No, and you'd
Good
be made
Charlotte.
fun of.
Good Charlotte,
Yeah.
I think, kind of like with streetwear, kind of like, did that. But Fall Out
Yes.
Boy, like, he was just like so ahead of the game in merging. I'm like, like when I
Well,
like when
leave
she first told me
leave
about
it
your
up
podcast,
to,
I was like,
to
yeah,
someone
makes sense.
who's a black man,
Yes.
Leave
That's
it
what I
up
was
to
gonna say. I was like,
someone
we haven't
who's
even
a
talked about
person
his
of
heritage.
color.
I also didn't. Same thing. I didn't know that until like 5 years ago.
It's really beautiful because now that look back at some music videos, including Hold Me Like a Grudge and Young and Menace, and the lead protagonist's mothers is a black woman, just like Pete's mom. And I think it's so sweet. And we even got to look back at like American Beauty, American Psycho, which was political as fuck because it was at the height of the Trayvon Martin case, and just
Yeah.
like the understanding of like youth and their part in culture and what they're creating versus like what's fucking killing them. And a lot of that is race based, but to the point that Fall Out Boy will follow that through line through their entire career, not only about like personal like people of color rights and black rights, but also like gay rights and trans rights.
Yes.
Back in like 2017 during the Mania tour, during Champion, it was photos and videos of Colin Kaepernick taking a fucking knee like in fucking arenas, and that was just a piece that goes all the way back, again, just going to to where Pete was and what he saw and what he wanted to be a part of, I think that informed so much naturally of where the band went. Like, I'm sure if we ask them about them, it'll be like, it just came naturally. Like, it wasn't a strategy. But now that we're looking back at it, I think it's not about putting words in their mouth, but rather contextualizing why it meant so much that happened the way it did.
No, 100%.
Of course.
I think that we have to look at, I mean, when you look back at the early days of Fall Out Boy, even, From Under the Cork Tree, that whole era, you can just tell that they were in a different place than a lot of the other counterparts in the scene.
By then, they were already working with Jay-Z. Jay-Z and Beyonce came to their New York album release show at Irving Plaza.
Like,
Jay-Z
before Infinity on High?
Yeah.
Like,
Sugar?
Like, Beyonce knew the words. Like Jay-Z introduced them, and Beyonce was their side stage. Like, there's a really famous picture of Patrick.
I've seen the photo. Like, I assumed that was Infinity on High era, maybe.
No, that was prior.
Look at the picture. Patrick's wearing the shirt from Sugar We're Going Down.
Wow. With the stripes on the sleeves?
No, it's the Leland, Michigan one.
Michigan one.
Oh, okay. I thought it was blue and had stripes on the sleeve. I was gonna say,
all of us own that shirt. I think at this point,
we all have it. But that just goes back to the fact that, again, like, during that time, and in my podcast, I kind of detail it. I think some of the earlier years are my favorite, just talking about, like, when Jay-Z asked Patrick to be on his album and he fucking choked. Like, so many other times that they were already working with hip hop artists or thinking in that way.
Yeah.
What else? Joel Santana was supposed to do the official remix to Dance Dance. Like, Joel Santana of fucking Dipset, was supposed to do this remix. So there's just, like, so many places where it was already now that they're in the mainstream, it was falling into place that they had access to these people. And then in 2007's Infinity on High is when we really see that fucking explode. But even since 2005, like, people like Questlove were already calling Fall Out Boy, like, people you have to look out for. And so I just give them so much testament to the growth from that. But a lot of it came from how they were carrying themselves as a unit, as a collective, and as a walking street team.
So let's talk a little bit about, so we've kind of touched upon just their culture boom, but let's kind of dive into it. So you mentioned, obviously, you mentioned briefly vlogging, right? And blogging. Obviously, if you are a fan of Fall Out Boy, you know that Pete was very active on LiveJournal or on the falloutboy.com. And he was very active. He was always talking to the fans.
Yeah, he was super active on Fall Out Boy Rock, and we had friendsorenemies.com.
Yeah, they were active on Friends or Enemies and Fall Out Boy Rock, and of course Pete's personal LiveJournal. But also, what's interesting is, for me, I feel like they're one of the few bands that, 2005 is when YouTube started, right? Am I correct in that? Yes. And they took advantage of that. To me, they did a very good job of taking advantage of using that medium to reach their fan base.
He didn't, like, Pete or whoever was leading that, I really do think it was Pete, didn't know it was going to be this huge behemoth of a social media and, like, growth track. But, like, just like any good band, like, they're going to test the waters and whatever new technology is going to help them get out there. Like, there are stories of Pete and Joe going out there handing out flyers in person, like, just making sure that they're getting in people's faces. So YouTube was just like another avenue that they had to test. And I think, again, that also follows a lot of the history of the band moving forward.
Yeah, it really does. And when you start looking at their, just the way in the early days, their promotion, I know that Scardy had a chance to interview Chris Payne, the author of Where Are Your Boys Tonight? If anyone has not picked up that book, you definitely should. But you hear, like, when you hear a lot of the other folks from other bands talking about Fall Out Boy in those early days, they just talk about how it was just insane, how all these kids would come and they already knew all the words and they already knew everything. Because the way that Pete and Patrick and Joe and Andy, the way they just went about marketing themselves, I feel like was so different than all of the other bands at the time. Would you think the same thing, Scardy?
Absolutely. And I think this goes back to our conversation again right before this was like, you have to fight the cringe. Like, you need to be your own biggest cheerleader. Like, you cannot expect anybody else to be louder than you are about what you do and what you love and what you want to do. And I think especially like in those underground days, like before social media, like you had to get in people's faces. And I think with social media it makes it really easy not to have to get into people's face. But when you start at like the boss level of like human interaction and feeling cringy and like, you know, advocating for yourself, like the internet's just like a tool, you know? So I think that they were open to be vulnerable and open to just like be accessible in a time where people always look to music for accessibility and community, but like now, you know, before it was parasocial, it was just social.
Yeah, it was just, now it's a little bit more parasocial, but it was social because I was thinking about there's a mutual influencer friend of ours who has a mental health and emo podcast. And she used to be part of the Overcast Kids Club and would talk about going to the flyovers and everything like that, which obviously would not happen today, most likely. But,
absolutely fuck not.
Right? Like, but it was something that they did back then that really developed a strong fan base, a very devoted fan base, and you need that in order to be, I think, successful, not only back then, but to continue to be successful to this day, right? Especially in 2025.
And I think that's what kept us connected to lyrics that might not always be like one-to-one what we're feeling and going through, but allowed us to give context and to feel like we know people like that or know the person that is as like this. And I think that really helped us connect with what it was and then what it became later on.
Their connection to the fans, I think, was very different from their peers in the scene, especially around that time. But I think you were touching upon their lyricism, and I know we briefly touched upon their music, but I do want to go back to that because in a lot of interviews, Fall Out Boy has talked, even pre-hiatus and of course post-hiatus, about the need for growth and the need to change, and they never wanted their albums to say the same. They never wanted to sound the same. Everyone should be about growth, right? And so let's just dive into that for a second. I mean, how does that help them become the success that they are today, right?
I think that they were very future driven in a time where it was easy to say we make what works, and that's like a formula that everybody can follow. And I think if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have gotten something like Folie à Deux and enjoyed it the way that it's being enjoyed right now. So do I think it was a risk business wise every time they did that? Absolutely. But do I think that these were four guys that were like, holy fucking shit, this would have never in a million years happened any other time? Like, we have to go full hog. Absolutely. And I think that that's something I always super respect about it, where it's like you can be a fan forever and like be like anything that they come out with I'm going to be a fan of, or you can grow with this band and learn new things. Like the way that Foley broke my brain right open into so much I listened to today and compared to today, same thing where it's like maybe it was ahead of its time. And it takes being a confident artist or having a good team behind you to feel confident enough to continue to push stuff out like that. But they are the blueprint for success and change, but they are a unicorn in their success for changing and growing.
Yes. Yeah. That's the interesting part, because as far as the emo blueprint, right? It's hard to say if that is exactly what they are, because when we think about emo, are they truly emo? And now we would definitely say no, they have grown and evolved way past that. But even by Infinity on High, could we even classify them as whatever we classify true emo as?
It's so crazy because it's like Patrick in Infinity on High was an R&B singer in a rock band. Like, it was so unlike anything else that was out there. And I think delivery, the same way that, fuck Johnny Craig, but like, the way that Dance Gavin Dance was able to like really pop off, like was because of these vocals and these R&B influences that were really present in rock in a very white space. So the introduction to that and the commitment to that was what made it what it was. And I just, again, like,
Yeah.
I'm sure they look back and are like, oh, I could have played better. I was, or I was shitty in this and that. But at the time, it was very experimental. In a time where they had eyes on them and ears that were open to learning from them. Like, being a Fall Out Boy fan felt like having like four very cool older brothers to like show you like cool new
Yeah.
stuff to like get into and like listen to. And I think that was a lot of their success, was having a lot of young female fans, because females and just non-males in general, the best fans you'll ever have. They are a walking street team. Before
100%.
anybody was out there
Hi,
talking
Mile.
about a band, we had them as our icons, as our MySpace away messages, as our MSN statuses. You know what I'm saying? Like, we had them as like our MySpace song. Like, we were out there on the message boards talking about them. So it was a time where it was like very impressionable fans were the fans of this and were able to grow alongside of it.
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about that demographic, because Rob and I have had many discussion about how Fall Out Boy is essentially a boy band, right? Which
Fall Out Boys,
obviously, as a
yes.
lover of boy bands, Fall Out Boys.
Yeah,
Yes,
so it's not a
they
bad
are-
thing. Yeah, I know.
It's not a bad thing. It is a great thing, because yes, a lot of different emo bands do attract a female audience, but they were able to attract a female audience in a way a lot of other bands really weren't able to do, because it's not just that they were writing lyrics that we identified with, but there was another level that they made us feel safe with them, right?
Yeah, it was
And
amazing. Pete would
that-
dress like a teenage girl, so we really
Yes, right,
connected.
exactly.
I think a lot of them, like,
100%.
we kind of like half talked about before. Like, I think a lot of the emo bands of the 2000s were like, they weren't actually like the uncool kids. They were just kind of like maybe the quieter cool kids. Like, they were still kind of just scheming to meet
No.
chicks almost. Whereas with Fall Out
That's
Boy, like, there
so-
was like a nerdiness, like an inherent sweetness to them. Like,
That's so
Even Pete.
kind of you. Like, I think that most of the emo guys were like the ugly and weird kids. You know what I'm saying? And like they got
no,
like
but
a little
like,
bit longer hair.
I don't think they're ugly. They weren't ugly and weird compared to like the 2010 onwards. Like, if we're ranking bands on cuteness, like the ones like the fourth wave, the bands from 2010 onward are less cutesy. Whereas like these, they might have been weirdos, but like there was some potential there maybe. And then once they got in positions of power, they'd kind of abuse it and they'd be shitty about it. But like, yeah, maybe they weren't like the jock football boys getting the attention, but there was still like a little charm to a lot of these guys. And like, not that there wasn't charm to Fall Out Boy, like Pete was like a borderline like sex symbol almost, but not in like a way where he felt sleazy or anything. You know what I mean? Like you have pictures of this guy wearing his pants all low, and it's just like, oh, it's sexy or whatever, but like it wasn't threatening. I don't think. Like, as a dude, I
No,
kind
I
of wanted to
wouldn't.
be
I
that
wouldn't
dude.
call.
Whereas like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not at all.
but it's just like
Not
it's kind
threatening.
of like there's something to it. Like, it's edgy. It was pushing boundaries, but like these guys
I
feel a
think,
little safer
and
than
I think having
taking back Sunday.
Patrick as like this unfortunate like anti-frontman, which really means this guy's
Yes.
fat, you know, in a time where it's like people like really just like ripped on people's bodies and just like attractiveness, because it was like this boy band period of like how
Yeah.
good do you look versus what are you doing with it. And I
Yeah.
think that attention was this like anti for the fans, was like this like anti connotation of like society norms and like what people expect of you. And now being the age and past the age that they were like back in like, you know, From Under the Cork Tree and Infinity on High comes out, I totally understand like their mental space and where they were in and probably how fucking weird it was. But again, it was a
Yeah.
time where it's like you were under a microscope, because even though the internet was booming, people were made case studies. So they may not be a blueprint, but they are the case study.
Yeah, no, I like the way you put that. They are definitely a case study, something to be explored
Yes.
because of the way, you know, I think they were talking about like the paparazzi a lot on these interviews and just how insane it was for them at that time. I can't speak for other bands in the scene, but for them, I mean, that celebrity
Wasn't the same.
was
There's no way it was the
huge.
same. Yeah, those guys were like, because I'm in high school, like I'm probably in like the ninth grade when Take This to Your Grave comes out, and I graduate fully comes out like a year after I'm out of high school. And like in that period, like you even like talk about like the idea like, oh, they're the blueprint for this. Like, they're not the blueprint for this. They're a case study, and they're a fucking unicorn in the sense like this is a TRL band. this is a rock band that is going to be an arena rock band that is going to push boundaries to be an arena rock band, and they also have this scene cred as well. Like it was everything in one that like I don't think
Yeah.
any of these other bands really had. Like it was the total package from the beginning.
Yeah.
Fall Out Boy is cool. Their fans are cooler. I think that it really was the community of like these people that you did want to know and you trusted their taste were really into Fall Out Boy. And I think that that dispersed. And again, like every hot girl loves Fall Out Boy. Okay. Like every hot person, you know, has great taste and loves them. So I think
Yeah,
that,
if you don't like Fall Out Boy,
that's
you're
really what
fucking
you wanted to
ugly.
get to. Yeah, I'm so
take.
sorry. I don't make the rules. I mean, down to the fact that here's my first Fall Out Boy. So I had a crush on this guy named Michael Albuquerque. We were in fifth or sixth grade, and his older brother had
Michael
Take Us to
Albuquerque.
Your Grave on a burned
Shout out.
CD. I know, what a name. I'll never forget it. Hope he's well. I think he has a
Sick.
kid.
Yeah.
I hope he's good.
Never.
But his
Shout out
older
Michael
brother
Albuquerque,
had made
yeah.
shout out Michael Albuquerque, had made a burned CD and it was free computer time. So he and I like shared like headphones and like listening to like the opening of like Tell That Mick like changed my life. Like I fell into a hole. And so it's just like moments like that where it's like people that you admire were digging them, and that was going to spread a lot faster than any other word could have. Plus their use of social media like just absolutely catapulted them into what they became at that time.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, the guy I had a crush on is who really introduced me to Fall Out Boy at the end of my freshman year of college, because I'm a little bit older than both of you. So when Fall Out Boy was, I'm more of their like, they're not my brothers. They're like my,
I'm
guy friends. I hung out
135.
with.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So I mean
I'm
that's
300
like
years
when I think
old.
about that, that's what they are like. But yeah, that was how I got into him originally. Like, you know, he was like, you need to check out this band.
It's the community thing is weird. Like literally one of my best friends from high school to this day, her name's Kayla Stewart. Shout out Kayla Stewart. You're right there with Michael Albuquerque. Like we were friendly, and then like she mentioned, she's like, "Oh, I ordered this wristband. It says do not open before Christmas." And it was like, "Is that a Fall Out Boy thing?" And she's like, "Yeah." And it was like immediately like, and then from then on, it was like we're exchanging things. Like Fall Out Boy was like just like like the hot
The
people like Fall Out Boy. Fall Out
catalyst.
Boy worked that line well of just being like an MTV band. We're gonna play the game, which I put like personally. I don't know. You are gonna know more, but like I saw that as like all Pete. Pete to me, I used to say, and I've said to Amanda on here, I used to call Pete the P Diddy of our scene before we, before that name was
Yeah, before
besmirched.
we
I'm
knew.
saying this in like
Before
2009.
we
We
knew.
still thought he was a nice guy before we knew. But that sense of like
But
P
it,
Diddy hit a
yeah.
point in the 2010s or 2000s even where it's like you don't think of this guy's a rapper. I was like, when at some point we're gonna know Pete Wentz beyond Fall Out Boy.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's also the time that he was on, like, you know, the host on, you know, Ink Masters and like hosting FNM TV, and he was just growing the brand so much further than Fall Out Boy. But that had started all the way at like Decadence and Clandestine, like years before.
Yes.
So this guy had this guy went to school for like poli sci and business, like he knew what he was doing.
He did.
Dare I
Yeah,
say that he
Clandestine.
has like a hit, like almost like a hip hop fucking hustle to him there, where it's like
Oh yeah.
like
Oh,
our yeah,
absolutely.
in our scene, the ways you'd promote would be very conventional. You'd go outside the show and you'd hand out the CDs or something like that. You'd send people a request to your MySpace. Like they were very innovative in ways where it reminds me of like the rappers that I'd be in where it's like, oh, we are doing this. It is a mile a minute. Every single thing you're doing is promotion. We're doing visuals for every song. We're doing this. We're doing that. And it's like
Well,
that's how
also
you stay in people's
Clandestine and his
consciousness.
clothing industry became so ingrained in Fall Out Boy merchandise. Like it was the equivalent of wearing Fall Out Boy merchandise. So when
Yes.
you
Yeah.
have
Might as well
this
been, yeah.
other echelon, because it's like I don't really wear band merch. I am wearing a Folie à Deux, a crew neck, but like in the outside world, I don't really wear band merch, but I will wear some Clandestine because it's just different. But it's like if you know, you know. So I really loved
Yeah.
that there were like areas and like kind of like levels that you can reach with like wearing your pride, because merch is, you know, that's how you eat.
Yeah, that's how we show. That's how we show if we love a band or not.
Yeah.
and he was doing clandestine, I think, even like as early as like 2002, 2003, wasn't he? Like, yeah, it was. I mean, it was early on. He knew exactly what he wanted. I think a lot of, when you look back at a lot of historians, or like emo historians and music journalists, they've talked about his mindset, his hip hop mindset when it came to the band, and they talk a lot about everything as a visual. Like, he's the one responsible for the visuals of the album. This, like, not that necessarily the sound of the songs, but he does have a certain like thought in his mind about how he wants the albums to sound, and then Patrick,
he works like a hip hop A&R. Like, he like that
100%.
hit, like, and Fall Out Boy is someone that he signed, you know, which that's basically what he's working as.
Not far off. Yeah.
Yeah, essentially, and he's doing a bang up job. Yeah, so when it comes to the band, I think when you say it's case study, it's, you know, it's something that other bands can look to and say, okay, if I want to be successful, you know, not necessarily just as an emo band, but as a band in general, this is a case study of something to look at and see what steps do they take. Now, obviously, in 2025, things are a little bit different. We don't have TRL anymore. We don't have a monoculture. It is different, so it might be a little bit harder.
Music discovery is so easy that it gets hard for everybody else. It's so easy for the consumer that it's hard for the artist. And so that's why I think that, not that Fall Out Boy wasn't talented or is talented, like, I think that they were on a tightrope, like, with like kind of like bouncers on the side, you know what I'm saying? Like, they were supported by some really important pushes in social media, in marketing, and just like being in the right place at the right time. Like, they are the epitome of right place, right time. And so you can totally form your outlook on them, because it's like, for example, like, they all split money equally and have always done that. So it's like, in ways that are like that's great to follow. That's a great strategy, a great blueprint, a great case study into why that works. And then at the same time, it's also about like what kind of vulnerability and were they able to push back on, to have come out, you know, to be the project that they wanted to be, to connect to the people that they wanted to connect. Because I'm sure there were so many things where it's like, who the fuck is this song for? This song is about fucking, you know, like being in court, you know, like a bunch of like, you know, like racial civil rights. The Fred Hampton Jr. case. You know, like there's so many songs like that that are like, who is this for? And they fought long and hard to ensure that it came out because it was going to find the right audience.
Yeah. And then when you look back at those and the way that we can dissect those lyrics and dissect those songs, again, is also what makes them successful, I think. When you have lyrics and songs that your fans can take and make them like mantras and make them like, we could argue all day long on
Taylor
Fall
Swift
Twitter
and
about
Drake.
songs.
I used to say, like, when, like, 2017, the big Drake year, I remember, like, I was like, Drake is doing this genius thing where he writes Instagram raps where it's like, these are the best captions on the planet. Like, you know, I only love my bed and my mom, I'm sorry. Like, that's a great caption. It's a great fucking caption. And, like, Fall Out Boy did that first, where it was like, these are great captions, these are hooks. And, like, in the same way with Taylor, where it's like,
that's what happens.
If you get obsessed. I still see it. You guys obsess over it.
Music. Yeah, that's what happens when music is written like poetry. Like poetry, every line is its own poem.
Legitimately be studied.
You know what I'm saying? So when you have a whole song full of that, I think it's really easy and fun to connect that, because it can just mean so many other things, or it can be very obvious and you know, to everyone else. But that's what happens when you have a fucking poet writing that shit.
Yeah, and that is exactly what Pete Wentz is, you know, however you want to put it. And kudos to Patrick for being able to take that and make it into just songs that we all can just like dance to and just go crazy.
Absolutely.
For, because it's that combo. I mean, they are the combo. Again, that goes back to, you know, them being the unicorn. The perfect, you don't see it very often, but that perfect mix of the songwriter and the musician, the producer, right? You bringing them together. We don't see that very often. And when you get that, that is special. And that's not every band has that or can get that, right?
No, and I mean
It's
this is an industry full of very individualistic and egotistical decisions that you have to make to kind of break through the noise. And I think that because Pete like had such a definite adoration and admiration of Patrick and his work, like that trust was already built in a very vulnerable way, you know what I'm saying? That kind of allowed them both to grow and put out what they did.
Yeah. And then even if they had a small period of time where maybe they weren't speaking, they came back stronger than before.
I don't think there's any combo you could even compare that to. Like, I can't think of another pairing in music that works like that. Because, like, okay, you think of other bands where there's two songwriters or any sort of thing where it's not just one primary songwriter. The Beatles, for example, there's some like rivalry going on at all times where there's this like schism, this like friction going on. Whereas with Fall Out Boy, yeah, it's like Pete wrote these words, and then Patrick will go in, and like I think that also has made Patrick be better because it's like there's no like doesn't have a direct tie. Like this needs to be the phrase right here. This is the couplet. It's like this is I'm going to craft this song out of your poetry, and I'm going to do it whatever best serves the song. And there's like you said, there's clearly such like an adoration between the two that the point that like you got people over here like writing fan fictions about them, like like it's like these guys have a bond that I can't think of any other bands. Every other bit, like where there's two people, okay, Blink-182, those guys broke up like 5 fucking times because they don't get along. You know what I mean? Like every band like that, that's what happens. Or there's a primary songwriter that is driving the ship, and that primary songwriter gets all the credit. You mentioned like how they split the songs, how they're split royalty. That's something I noticed, which like you open up a Fall Out Boy song, all 4 of them are listed as songwriters. I've been in bands 1,000,000 times smaller than Fall Out Boy, and it's like, well, no, I wrote most of this song. Like I'm taking 70%. I'm taking 140% of the 200. Like that's just the mindset. It's like, well, fuck, I did all this work. And with them, like, there's clearly like a brotherhood to it that has let them live through and stand the test of time. That's how like they've been able to survive. To me, it's how they've been able to be like the one. Like, I mean, you guys probably won't disagree with me, but I'd say that's the biggest band the last 20 years, probably. Legitimately, how many bands from 2000 who peaked or not peaked but blew up? Let's say they blew up with Sugar in 2005, right? Is there a single band from that point to now that is at that level and has been at that level this entire time, has never dipped down to performing in fucking theaters and halls and clubs and then gone back up? Like, has consistently stayed an arena band that is on the charts every goddamn album.
No, I mean, because people might argue that MCR is like the greatest band of that era, but honestly, they're a myth.
Doesn't count if you go away for 10 years.
Yeah, that just shows up every 10 years.
It's not the same thing. Their peak was like a 3-4 year peak there. It was a one album cycle of that. No offense to Mike Cam, but I mean like they've been able to, like I told Amanda's story like a couple weeks ago where like I was walking around in Hollywood and I like literally just they were on top of the Palladium performing for the Nickelodeon Awards. Like they were able to shift from like we're this, we're that. Like especially in the 2000s, like Save Rock and Roll era to me, it's like that was the biggest band on the planet at that point to me, because it's like it blends this so well where this is a rock band but they are ingrained in the pop, and like at that point hip hop was the pop world. It was like they're so ingrained in that shit that like that was the band.
Yeah, when your first single includes 2 Chainz, like your first single back includes 2 Chainz in the video and the remix.
The video, just throw on the shit. God, I was so tight.
And then fucking Big Sean later on in like the actual album. Yeah, Save Rock and Roll is extremely.
Can we? I literally earlier today, there's only one thing that I was like, I need to talk to Scardy about this. Can we talk about Big Sean for a second?
Absolutely.
Can we just talk about Big Sean? Can we talk about Big Sean? Because I've been a diehard Big Sean fan since I first heard him on the Good Friday track "See Me Now," the extended version where like he does the verse on it. I'm like, I love Big Sean. He's on Fall Out Boy. It's great. Mid-2000s, he's peaking, but at some point, Big Sean loses all kind of like credibility to me or something like that. Is he become too mainstream? What is it that makes Big Sean not as cool as he should be? Because to me, that's a guy that like, musically speaking, artistically, like that flow is the coolest one.
I think it was the blog era, right? So Big Sean started with like the 12 Disciples on BET, and then that's really where he like blew up in the mainstream. And then when you're in the blog era, this was Big Sean, this was like Tory Lanez, this was like early Drake, this was like early Weekend stuff.
Yeah.
Like they all
Billy J.
had
Cole,
their,
yeah.
this exactly. So they all had their shtick, and I think Big Sean didn't have a shtick. Like he wasn't like this super sexual rapper. He wasn't like this super like hard,
Yes.
like drill
Yes.
rapper. And I think it
No,
wasn't
he's just
that.
talented.
That was just who he was. And I think that in a world where we wanted this character to kind of like
Yes.
grab onto, like Big Sean didn't have that story that we could follow in the hero's journey, like Chance the Rapper, like J. Cole,
Yeah.
like all these people. So I think that was really it. But like Big Sean's awesome.
Yes. And they say, like I've said it before, like maybe on the show where it's like hip hop, especially to me, is kind of like wrestling in the sense that, like, yeah, a lot of it is rooted in a character and like who this is. Like, my favorite rapper is Pusha T. Pusha T, it's like, I listen to Pusha T. I
Yeah.
want to go sell cocaine in Virginia. You know what I mean? Like, whereas with Big Sean, it's just like, this guy just has a really good flow. Like, Big Sean, I know he lives down the canyon from me. He lives in Malibu. Like, he's successful, but it's like, he's charming. But like, yeah, there's not that, which maybe that's also like a hip hop culture thing too, which I'm curious about, where it's like, there needs to be that thing where maybe he wasn't street enough, maybe he wasn't lyrical enough, where it's like he didn't get that respect. Yet meanwhile, every other album it seemed would come out like, and it was like a thing where like the one album between Finally Famous and Dark Sky Paradise, like the only thing you know about it is there's like a Kendrick verse on Control, you know, and it's like,
Exactly.
but it's like the albums are good, you know what I mean? It's like, but it's like I don't fuck with you.
Yeah.
Like I was listening to that earlier today, it's like this isn't really this guy. Like this, I don't like this. Doesn't feel authentic to him. He doesn't feel like an asshole. But it's like this is a great song. Like it, maybe he's more like a hip hop artist.
I think yeah. So there's like differences between being like a rap artist and a hip hop artist, and I feel like both of those were compared so closely that we really lost
Yes.
the juice on Big Sean being a rapper. You know, like hip hop is mostly production, rap is lyrical. So Big Sean was a rapper
Yes.
in a hip hop blog era that wanted like the big showmanship, the big characters. And so a couple of things. One, I was actually part of Big Sean's NPR Tiny Desk. And he took so much
No way.
care. Yeah, and he took so I have like the
Put it out on my
like
TV to watch as soon as this is done.
well, I'm you can't see me, but like there's pictures of me at
I don't care.
at
I've
the
never
shoot.
seen the Big Sean Tiny Desk. When is it? When is it?
Holy fuck,
Never
it's
seen it.
so
When is
good.
it?
It came out last March.
Oh shit. Okay, so what's the most recent one? Detroit 2? Like,
No, because he was just promoting his book coming out with Janae Eco. Like that was what he was
okay,
promoting when it came out. But watch it, it's so good. And two, I'm not sure if y'all know, but back in 2015, Big Sean actually covers "Sugar We're Going Down" in a verse in a song called
yes.
"Chit Juke." And it's so random. It's like the last verse
So random.
of the song. But it just goes to show you that like this guy's kind of like 2 Chainz has been like ears to the streets for a long time. And someone like Fall Out
Yes.
Boy is really simpatico to where Big Sean's lane is, which is like Lupe Fiasco, the backpacker rappers, you know, people
Yes.
who like are divine in hip hop, but like are lyrical people. So I think that the through line through Big Sean, Lupe Fiasco, people like Rocky Fresh go right back into Fall Out Boy and like their success in that ecosystem. And why it felt so natural. for them to be in
1000%
it.
agree. Wow.
It's
Yeah,
I
no,
be
that
talking
was
about
one of
this.
like
yes.
that's what I was
It's-
like. I feel like I have so many random hip hop questions and it doesn't tie into this show, but that was one of them. I was like, 'cause I love Big Sean. I like when that album came out. It was like that was a big high point to me because like obviously 2012, I love 2 Chainz. Everyone on the planet loves 2 Chainz. And then it's like, oh,
True.
fuck, Sean's on the album. Like to this day, I will at least once a week I will say 2 Chainz, but I got me a few on. Like it just comes out of my mouth.
Come on.
Like,
Yeah, I
but like,
understand. I understand.
right? There's just like something charming to him. But like, yeah, like when that era of Fall Out Boy was just special to me because it's like, yeah, they walked that hip hop line well. And then in 2010s, especially, like hip hop is the fucking world. Like
it is everything.
that is the world. Like up until maybe the last couple years, things have been a little more up in the air. But
But
like
they made it feel so
they walked that
natural.
line so well.
They made it
Yeah.
feel so natural.
It
In a
did feel
way
like a
that wasn't Punk Goes Crunk. It wasn't novelty. It
no.
wasn't parody. Like
Yes.
they were
Punk's
living
Crunk
this
is
shit because
almost
they were
like
fans.
insulting. Yeah,
I'm
no,
the
it
way
was authentic.
the Baby I Got Your Money Say Anything one went triple platinum in my household, but I'll never hear it ever again.
Right, yeah.
Embarrassing. But
Yes,
it wasn't not like I now detest Punk Goes Crunk because I see what they were
literally,
trying to
white boys
do.
on there throwing the N word
I
around, but
See,
they're
was
yeah,
doing
you
it in
see,
like
yeah.
I
it's not a
was
respect thing.
so
No,
fucking upset. I'm like, and this is still up, y'all. Like this is still like, come get your
Right?
mans. Come
fucking
get
insane,
It's
Yeah.
absolutely
insane.
fucking insane.
There's
But
yeah.
anyway,
An
No,
excuse
there's
to
one
say
thing
things you
about
can't say.
right. There's one thing to like do pop music, like to make Taylor Swift emo, and then that's one thing. But yeah,
sure.
the pop goes
Hey,
crunk. That
they
does not
cross
make
over.
sense to
There's a
me.
way to pay respect. Like, I
Like
mean,
that.
there are many times where I'd like play like an acoustic show or something randomly. Like, I would throw in like I don't fuck
Yeah.
with you or like, but it's like it's out of respect. And like this is an
best.
excuse for me to finally get to say the N word or say these
Hey,
things that I don't get to say in rock music. Like, it's
hey, you
ignorant.
know the only people that get the pass is Framing Hanley for their Lollipop cover. That is the
That's
only
I
yeah.
haven't heard the Framing Hanley lollipop cover.
Wait,
I'm
you
very
have
intrigued
not?
though.
Oh,
I'm
player
very
wait, you have
intrigued
nine.
because
not?
Stop the
love
show.
yeah.
Stop. All
Stop
right.
the show.
Stop the show. What?
What
That
the
was
fuck?
like Rob. That
What
was
is this? The 2010s?
Now you're gonna
Is
tell
it
me
the
that you haven't
2010s?
heard Kevin Rudolph's "Let It Rock" featuring Lil Wayne, where Lil Wayne is
wait. Have you
used-
heard that?
Yes, I've heard. Yes, yes.
Okay.
I'm
Okay,
very,
but
very
watch
deep
the
in the Wheezy
video,
fandom.
and Lil Wayne
Yeah.
is using Pete's bass.
Yes, he is.
No.
Yes, he is. Yes, yeah. He's using Pete's bass guitar in the Let It Rock. Yes, you have to. And then, of course, you know,
Oh,
and Lil
it's
Wayne ends
great.
up on Foley, right? Which is probably one of everyone's favorite songs.
Tiffany Blues, yeah.
Tiffany Blues.
Tiffany
Oh my gosh.
Blues. Wait, but that's great. We
Yeah.
understand why. But the fact that Whams was right after Tiffany Blues, that has a fucking Pharrell 4 count at the top of a Fall Out Boy song, diabolical. The two songs to go back to back, it was insane. It was a personal attack.
Yeah. And so this is what talking about this is what makes me remind myself of. Okay, so Scardy was at When We Were Young this year. Of all the things that Fall Out Boy could have done, right? Everyone's complaining about, you know, why aren't they playing their old hits? Take This to Your Grave, blah blah blah. And if you are a Fall Out Boy fan who's been to their tour dust sets, you know that they have this 8-ball, and they did 2 each night, and they could have done anything. Both nights they chose to bring a rapper out and do a song with
Tried
first.
and
Don't
Wiz?
talk to me. I
Wiz?
felt so
No.
personally attacked. When I saw Wiz Khalifa come out, I nearly passed out.
Oh my God, what a terrible time for her to say
Like,
reconnecting.
boy, I
We could talk about Wiz.
felt so seen. We can talk about Wiz because Wiz Khalifa and Fall Out Boy's Boys of Summer
Yes.
tour was one of the coolest things, and that the world got to see a young Lil Uzi because he would come out to perform with DJ Drama. Like Uzi back had that EXO, push me to the edge, all my friends are dead. Like he would come out during DJ Drama's set
Yes.
at the Fall Out Boy shows and do that.
Yeah.
And then it led to Patrick and Andy doing like these drum offs to Kendrick Lamar, Lil Uzi. Like it was just so fucking
so
sick.
good.
Like the whole Wiz era is amazing.
Yeah. I think that's very underrated. I don't think a lot of people talk about that enough because what Fall Out Boy was doing at that time, you know, putting that out there, putting that collab, it was amazing. I don't know why we don't talk about it enough, to be quite honest.
I mean, same thing with like the Lil
But-
Wayne and Blink 182 tour. I'm like, why isn't there 3 documentaries, 5 books? Like,
Yes.
what are we talking about? Like, what the fuck?
I,
is going on, guys?
I don't want to flex or anything, but I was actually one of the main promotional tools for that tour, and it was very, very
Fuck
special
yeah.
for me. I created this
Fuck yeah.
fake Twitter account because there was a lot of like fake like gotcha Twitter accounts at the time. So I made up this guy is Don Hoosley. He was like an old man. He's married to his wife Helen for 37 years. They had this neighbor Dennis, and Dennis would steal his eggs. And I would tweet at like sports teams and stuff like that. And eventually it popped off, and Don Hoosley's just popping off. People were invested in Don. And I tweeted at Blink one day, like, can you ban Dennis from your show? You keep stealing my hard-boiled eggs. And I wake up one day, and my phone is fucking on fire. And I go look, and they're like, basically everyone's just like, bro, go look at Blink 182's Instagram. I go look at their Instagram. everything is taken off. They scrub their Instagram account except for one tweet from Don Hoosley that's like, will you ban Dennis from your shows? And like over that summer, like I'll send him over to Amanda after this. Like there's like 10 tweets where it's like Mark Hoppus playing on stage, he's pointing. He's like, when you see Dennis at the show, like we're still team ban Dennis. Like that whole tour, consistently. Like I don't know who was running their socials, but they were just very much like ban Dennis, ban Dennis. There was girls that went to the show with like a big poster because neighbor Dennis had an iguana named Todd, and I hated, and Dawn hated the iguana as well. And these girls went to the show, banned Dennis with like an iguana drawn on the side and stuff like that. And it was like, I'm so excited. And then the tour happens, and then the tour, they're canceling every other date, and it was very much like, what's going on here? What's going on here?
A lot.
I also think that's the case of more of Wiz. Like I have one of my best friends booked Wiz like in San Diego at a venue like 6 months before Black and Yellow or so, like a Cushion OJ era, I guess. And he was a little unprofessional then in terms of like hotel room stuff, things like that. But for the most part, I think Wiz has been like, maybe we like same with Fall Out Boy, where it's just like this motherfucker is so good at the business side of the world. You know what I mean? Like Wiz. If anything, I'd say he's less of an artist than Wayne and more of like a businessman. Whereas like then you see Wayne's going to cancel dates if he thinks it's a small show. There's going to be a small turnout. He might a little more up in the air, you know. But like Wiz was just so professional to this day. Like there's clips of him talking about like, you know, when he got the song with Charlie Puth and he's like, you know, they sent it over. There's all these rappers. He's like, I need to get my verse like very quickly. There's no bullshit. This was a business to him from the beginning.
Yeah, I love the way he moves, and it makes sense why he meshed so well with Pete and everything Fall Out Boy was doing at that time.
Yes, he's such a Pete. Yeah, he's such a Pete.
He's such a Pete. And that's why it made me happy that they brought Wiz. And I know Travi's part of the scene, but still, they of all the things they could have done, that's what they chose, and they were making a statement. I mean, essentially, that's what they were doing it when we were young, making a statement, reminding us exactly who Fall Out Boy is. And whereas they were different than everyone else.
Especially in front of when we were young, when it's a crowd of mainly 30-something-year-old whites who are there to see the Chiodos play or something like that. Like, here you go. Like, let me remind you, there's culture outside of this little...
Oh, you want to see the Black Parade?
Yeah, we're sure the Black Parade.
The Black Parade is Wiz Khalifa and Travis McCoy.
Right?
Oh,
I'm into it.
Scardy.
I'm into it.
That's right. Yep. That's the real one. Oh,
I'm good.
Yep.
I'm good.
You are good. Well,
I feel bad. We should have last week we had an episode of Musical McRib, which is basically my idea that bands need to break up and then go away later on to like maintain relevancy. Lil Wayne is the best example of that. If Lil Wayne doesn't, if his jail stint is longer before the Carter 4, or he goes away or he retires after the Carter 4, that guy he should be regarded with Tupac and Biggie, but now he tours and he plays in like fucking club. Like he's not at the level he's supposed to be because like he didn't go away, and like in a way he's tarnished that legacy, indirectly or directly.
I hear that. I also think we need to give these rappers some recession love because they really getting all the monies that they can right now before touring goes absolutely batshit dumb. Anyway.
Yeah, touring is about to go. Yeah,
so many tours.
Get your money, guys.
Yep,
get your money. Yeah,
get your monies.
Yeah, because it may not happen soon. Oh, all right. So I think we've established that Fall Out Boy is more of a unicorn than an actual emo blueprint, a case study, but not necessarily how other bands need to like follow if they want to be an emo band.
I don't think anyone could follow that.
No, they couldn't.
No.
Yeah, they are unique in their own ways. And I know we talked briefly about Patrick and Pete's relationship, but I have to say, like, that's the other thing that I love about Fall Out Boy. It's not just the two of them, but the four of them. They are a brotherhood. We've not had 8 different changes of the guard. We've had one lead singer, lead guitarist, whatever you want to, I know they switch back and forth now. One bassist, one drummer.
Yeah, you had one guy leave for like 3 months. That's it.
And just to take a mental health break, which is extremely valid and needed and supported. So
he wasn't ever like, it wasn't a matter of like, let's like you said, like it's his tech playing, like it's still part of the family performing this. Like that is a band, that is the group. Like those guys seem to really love each other in the most.
I think it was even a bigger statement when they wouldn't have the tech up there and they were playing as a 3-piece. to be
Yes.
like
That's
true,
nothing's
that's true.
gonna replace him. That
No,
was a
you're
sad
not
time.
replacing Joe. Like I remember they played on
Yeah.
like the NHL All Star Game or something
Yes.
like that.
Oh.
It was so weird to me to see the three of them. Like it didn't feel right as a three piece. It felt weird. Like even with Joe not
Yes.
doing his flippy flippies and guitar swingies as before, it's like it's
You need
still
all
like
four of them.
you're missing your guy.
Yes, yes. And if they can do NHL, they can do the Super Bowl. So that's just my
Okay,
plug
let's
for
talk
Fall Out
about
Boy
that,
Super-
Scardy. Here's my theory about how Fall Out Boy gets a Super Bowl performance. I think a rapper gets it, and the only way that another band of like 2000 onward ever gets that spot is if they're brought out the same way bands used to bring out like a rapper for tokenism. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
oh here look we're cool. Like here's like Katy Perry bringing out Missy Elliott and Lenny. It's like the only
Yeah.
way this happens, the only way we get this is if a major rapper. Even Post Malone, it doesn't even like anyone. Like a major rapper gets the halftime show, and they bring out Fall Out Boy. But to me, Fall Out Boy is the band that is most likely to get that cameo spot. What do you think?
I completely agree with you, and here's how we win. So the person that gets the Super Bowl will never, I don't think we'll ever have like a Kendrick Lamar rapper do a Super Bowl again, unfortunately. I think it was very special. I think it was like one of one.
Yeah.
I think we'll never see that again.
Yeah.
What we
That
will
was
get,
an unmatchable year.
what
Yeah.
we will get is a Pharrell or a Timbaland that is pure collaboration.
Oh shit! I've literally
I know
never
what you're.
thought of
I know
this.
what you're gonna say. I know what you're gonna
Never
say.
ever
My-
thought of that.
My third eye is wide open. She's gaping. Okay, listen.
Yeah.
I feel like it's gonna be them doing like or like something like Babyface gets introduced and they do like thanks for the memories with Babyface. Like I think it'll be something like that. Okay, another Tiny Desk that you have to watch is Babyface's because he does thanks for the
I've seen that one.
memories.
Yeah,
Oh.
I've seen that one. Yeah, I've definitely seen that
My
one.
phone blew up like someone died. I was doing a morning show at the time live, and my computer was going nuts. My phone was going off. Like I was
Like, what's
what
going
happened?
on? Yeah.
No, literally, what happened? And I knew
Baby
it had to
girl,
be
you
something
check the NPR YouTube today?
basically, which is like the scariest text to ever get.
You're like, why?
You're like, oh no, 64 dead in Lebanon.
Yeah, not again, basically.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah.
And it's like, why me? But yeah, so that's how we win. We're going to win by the person being someone like a Pharrell or a Timbaland that can like tell a story through like all their collaborations and do like one and only.
What
or
is the
something.
current relationship between Pharrell and Jay? Are him and Jay-Z cool? Because like that really, as soon as you said that, that really like
You
opened
know,
up the
when
world
when
for
I
me.
when I called, he didn't really bring him up. No, I don't know about these.
You did okay. You didn't mention. Well, I don't know. I don't know if there's like some
I
obvious
don't-
heat I'm
okay,
just
one
missing
thing,
out on.
One thing
Yeah.
I don't do anymore is speculate. I was like, these are grown ass men who need to wash their butts.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really care about
Yeah. Figure it out. Figure it out, fellas.
again.
Yeah.
One husband that is my entire world and best friend, and then Patrick Stott, my emotional support white man. That's all I need. That's all. That's all I
That's
have the
all we
patience
all
for,
need.
and I only have half patience for Pete Wentz because he's half black. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the tip.
I understand.
That's the tip of it.
Yes. Yeah. I
And you,
I would
Rob,
like
you're
to see
okay.
it.
I guess, wow. It's a big day for me.
Welcome.
It's really
I agree.
special. Yeah. Fucking.
I would love to see a Timbaland. I mean, is he come back with anything? Is he trying to make a?
I mean, he just never really left. He's just like a legacy
know.
act. Like we are going to see
Yeah.
him with a legacy act.
Yeah, and that would.
I
that
think
means
the
I get
biggest
one and only. I'm not going to be sad about it.
I think the biggest problem with those guys is, and one thing that I think hip hop does better, but I think hurts them here, is rock music is very like ingrained in like these are our classic rock guys. Then they're like held at that level forever. Like you listen to your local rock station, they're still gonna play fucking No Doubt and Sublime
Yeah,
and Blink and
yeah,
Foo
yeah,
Fighters
yeah.
nonstop. Whereas
Journey, yeah.
hip hop moves a lot quicker. Like hip hop, if you turn on your local like Power 106 here, like they're not gonna be playing the real Slim Shady or Still Dre or something like that. They're gonna be playing what's going on now. So someone like Timbaland, who is like, if he was in our world, if he was in like the rock world, like this guy is a main stager forever. But like I feel like these guys get demoted in a way over time as the new thing comes out.
Oh, 100%. And again, it's just the speed as that we're consuming the most popular music, which is hip hop, which is rap. But I do think that they are a legacy act, and I think that the moment we started hearing like Sugar We're Going Down played in like grocery stores, they're about to be the new No Doubters, you know? And that's cool.
Yes.
And that's awesome. And it'll give them a chance to be on a bigger stage like that. What I absolutely love and can see a Fall Out Boy like halftime show, absolutely. Do I see them making more of a statement with a big collaboration like that? It would be very on brand.
Yeah.
Yes.
100%. Very on brand. Well, Scardy, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. I think this has been a very lively discussion about Fall Out Boy's legacy.
You made my day.
Yes.
Being called one of the good ones, that was really special for me. I'm gonna
He's
ride
one of
that
the
high for at
good
least the next week or so.
ones.
Yeah. Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's special to me. One time these guys complimented my shoes outside a football game, and I was like, wow, like I'm a 35-year-old
I've
man.
made
Those
it.
22-year-old black guys
I've
told me they liked my wave runners. I'm like, fucking, I ain't coming down
You've
from
made
here.
it.
I'm cool.
You've fucking
Yeah, it
made
was.
it. No,
You have.
this is so special, and I hope we can come back and like talk some more about like
Oh, yeah.
even just like the later collaborations and everything that it kind of became and what we fell in love with. But this is very special. Y'all are awesome, and thank you so much for having me.
Before you go, I have one last question though. Since you are the person that
Yes.
combines hip hop and Fall Out Boy, and Fall Out Boy, I think is really defined. Like the best part is like lyrics, and not even just lyrics, like couplets. What is your favorite quote unquote Fall Out Boy bar?
There we
Oh
go.
my God,
Because I know mine, but I'm
build
curious as
me.
someone who's an actual expert.
I already have it. It's from my favorite song of theirs, Wham's. Guild me, build me. It's your club, so let me in, bro. Like,
Wow,
it's just such a
that's a Scardy
like.
line.
It's definitely a fucking Scardy line. Like, it's definitely like a wow. Like, you work so hard to be molded into what you need to be accepted, only to feel like you're still fucking fighting your way through it. And I think that was such a bar for like where I was in life at that time. It was 2009, so it was my first year of high school, and forever, like if you ask me, like that's the line. That's the line for me. That's like
That's some fuck your imposter syndrome shit.
a
Yeah, that's
hundred
great.
percent like this desperate, vulnerable begging to be accepted while still knowing that you're being molded and changing every day. It's just so sick.
What a great pull. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I love that a lot.
Thank you.
Well, Scardy, tell everyone listening where they can find you when you're like
The
not doing your
internet.
podcast. Where can they find you on the internet?
Yes, on the internet, I'm all over. My Instagram is Sugar We're Going In. My Twitter or X or whatever the fuck is Sugar We're Going In without a G in the going. I'm at Scarlet Estelle everywhere else. You can find me, DM me, email me at sugarwe'regoingin@gmail.com. I'm a good time and I'm pretty cute, so come hang.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Scardy, so much for joining us today.
Thank
Really
y'all
appreciate
so
it.
much.
Thank you.
Bow, 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 bow.